wild and unpredictable night in all likelihood. I want to start with the battleground states. There are 7 of them, in addition to that one electoral vote in Nebraska that could become important. They're pretty familiar to a lot of people because they're similar to the battleground states that we saw last time around. Right now, our partners at 538 give Donald Trump a 51% chance of winning the presidency. It's basically a 50-50 race, an utter coin flip. But just to show you how that can change based on a couple of states falling in a particular direction, let's assume, just for the purposes of our conversation, that Pennsylvania, the biggest battleground on the map, goes for Kamala Harris. Look what happens to the 538 calculation. You go from that 50-50 race to now Harris having an almost 80% chance of winning. If, on the other hand, we see some of the southern states that have traditionally been more Republican, North Carolina, which went for Donald Trump once, Georgia, which went for Donald Trump once, and then flipped back. Look what happens to the 538 numbers just based on those 2 states. Again, that's an 80% Trump chance. So a few states can make a big difference. I'm going to be looking particularly at some of the key counties. Pennsylvania, as I mentioned, is probably the most important battleground state because it's the biggest. It's got 19 electoral votes this time around. And the place to hone in is Philadelphia and the suburbs. Philadelphia, that's a Democratic stronghold. We know that Harris is going to do well, just like Joe Biden did, but it's right outside of there where the numbers couldn't be important. Chester County, that's a 58-40, a 50,000 vote edge right there out of that one county. Similarly, the edge in a place like Montgomery County, that's 130,000 votes right there. Biden only won the state by 80,000. So again, that's where Harris has to come in very big. Similar story in Wisconsin with some interesting differences. There, we know that Milwaukee is the big haul of Democratic votes. That's a big one for Harris. Likewise, Madison is even bigger. It's a big college town. But the suburbs there, they tend to be a little bit redder. The question is going to be in places like Waukesha, Washington, and Ozaukee County. What do the margins look like? How close is Joe Biden able to keep it in the race against Donald Trump? Then we're going to be looking out west some. Nevada has been Democratic for the last couple of election cycles, but there are some real interesting battlegrounds that have emerged there. Las Vegas, with all those union members and Latino voters, that has been only narrowly Democratic the last few election cycles, at 53-44. And this is the classic swing county, Washoe County, where Reno is, the other big population center. The margins could be very tight in places like this as Harris and Trump kind of hang on to try to find the best electoral coalition that works for them. We're also going to be looking at the Senate map. You've got far more Republican opportunities than there are Democratic opportunities, and a real opportunity for a takeover there. Also, the House of Representatives, that's going to be in question on election night. So we're going to be along for what's going to be a wild ride, a lot of different variables, and these maps are going to tell some really big stories on election night.